Hey everybody. Hey, so today we're doing some ribs, pork, and we got some deer sausage, 2 different types. So we're gonna trim these up real quick before we get them on the little cookers. So traditional thing that I like to do is, you see this big flat, we're gonna use any of that. So flip this joker upside down, and find this line, get rid of all this small stuff. So you're gonna cut right between these. And all you're trying to do is square these jokers up. Okay. Alright, this doesn't have a big flap. Most of your spare ribs and your baby backs will have a nice deep little crust back there, I call it a little lip. So these don't look too bad already. This little piece right here we can cut off. Okay, some of this fat's not really going to render down, so you can cut all this stuff out. Okay. Of course, these aren't going to be turned in for a competition or nothing like that, so these will do the job just fine. So I've done 2 different types. So I've done it where I've removed this membrane, or I've also scored it. So scoring it, I'm just going across the bones, and then I'll come at it about a 45-degree angle, and I'll cut across. If you're doing, a huge order of ribs, I could see just doing the scoring, even backyard barbecue. But competition, you definitely don't want that. So, little trick that I do, this is just a trimming knife from Franklin's Barbecue, is I'm just going in right above that bone, just kind of digging in. This knife is following the bone, okay, and then I'm going to turn it up where the back side is going to be used as my leverage. Okay, and I'm just going to, once I have that going, so take my fingers, I'm just trying to work it in there. Like so. Doesn't have to be really complicated. But grab and pull up. We get the majority off like that. Go back through if you still have some. Pretty much apply the same principle yet again. The stuff does get a little slippery, so if you need to use a paper towel to help assist you, it's definitely a way to do it. There we go. Okay, so membrane's off. Trim these up just a little bit more. I don't like this little edge right here. Okay, so it's all trash. I'll cook that. Some aluminum foil, just feed to the dogs. So these aren't bad. I'm not the biggest fan of this cut. Got this weird, I may just cut this all off. It's got this weird lip meat. It's running up the side. It's got a lot of fat. It's definitely not going to render down on this cook. So, shave that off. There's a little more of that skin. You can be super crazy about this and get all that stuff off, but we're not doing all that today. So. Alright, so next big step is we're going to take our mustard, just using it as a binder. Doesn't really impart any flavor, nothing that I've ever seen. And we're going to essentially use it to tack the seasoning on, right? So this would be the bottom. Of course, we're going to put our seasoning on the top as last. Mainly that's just for presentation. Flip that over. So this can be some Cosmos honey and some chipotle. Just quite a bit of that on, and then I like this honey hog that Meat Church also makes. So just gonna get it all over, kind of fill in those cracks, so to speak. And that mustard is purely nothing but a binder. It's just gonna help get this seasoning to stick on quite a bit. Okay, all we're gonna do is just take this, flip it over, and do the same exact thing. So here's your mustard. Boop, boop. Splash that all the way around. Okay, and then the same exact thing. We're just gonna grab the Cosmos. It's a little windy here right now, so it's kind of going everywhere. Boom. Then we're gonna top off with some Meat Church, the honey hog barbecue rub. Okay, so that's it. That we will be using is the 22-inch pit barrel PBX. They are on the website. Comes with a bunch of cool stuff. Besides a hinged grate, it's the only thing I wish they had. So with that type of a cooker, we're actually hanging the ribs. We're not just going to throw it onto a grate or into an offset, nothing like that. So use these little metal hangers. Okay, so if you like tender ribs, you don't want to just go with one. What I typically do is run my fingers underneath, find about the third or fourth rib, shove that through. Okay, so this is going to hang on top of the piece of rebar that goes through the smoker. Now what I like to do is double it up. So we're going to take their second hook, hook it just like so. Oh, I'm sorry, on the other side. And we're just gonna kind of bend and push at the same time. There we go. Pull that through. There we go. Let dust a little more rub on. Kind of made a mess. Okay, here we go. So essentially now it's ready to be hung onto the smoker. Okay. Here is one of my PBXs. So we have B&B competition char logs that are cooking away to get some heat done on them. So we already filled up our basket down there. We're gonna put about half a bag, and I think it's only about a 10-pound bag. But so once that's ready to go, I'll just take the grate off, dump those in, then I'll put a rebar in. And you'll be able to see the little process from there. Pretty cool stuff. So let me go ahead and clean up real quick, and then we'll go ahead and start getting the barrel ready. All right, so just getting the heavy duty gloves on real quick. Definitely don't want to mess around and burn yourself. So Pit Barrel actually makes these gloves. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I've had some pretty good results with their products. These gloves came with the kit when I bought it. So we're just gonna dump these pearl logs in here. And over time, they will spread over. Put this grate back in. We'll put it on the second level. Actually, I got one. This is going to be the big boy plate. I don't have the one that is regularly accessible right now, so we're just going to dry hang them. Take a rebar. sticks only have 2, so this is a pretty big cooking space. I'm gonna grab these ribs. I'm just gonna hang them just like so. That's it. So I'm going to close this up. Alright, I'll give you a quick little walk around. Alright. So this is it. It's pretty awesome. The outlet is actually through these, so there's no real adjusting this besides this little flap down here. But typically you don't want to do that unless you're above sea level, and every 1,000 feet that you're above sea level it goes up. I believe off the top of my head I think it's a 1/4 inch, so it just rotates. You would open up just to add a little more of an intake. We're down here in Southeast Texas. We are actually right at sea level, so there's no need to kind of mess with that. But that's the pair. Let me get another bottle opener for that one. But so I've done quite a few cooks. I'm gonna say probably about 50 cooks on these so far, and they've done really well. I haven't had any issues with them. I believe they are porcelain coated, so I haven't seen any big rust or nothing like that. The quality seems definitely to be there. Now you do have to watch, of course, you know, these are heated, so over time these will actually get a little distorted, but I've noticed the color also, they do kind of fade. These you have to buy extra, but other than that, pretty solid project. These are going to take significantly less time because you're cooking them over at open fire essentially. It's not going to be offset, it's not a pellet smoker. So these typically run 3 to 4 hours. And I still try to apply the 2-1-1 method while doing this, so just stay tuned and you'll see what's going on.